Stephanie Jenkins, the mother of 7 and internet sensation, is back in the spotlight once again, but this time the situation is far from her usual antics. The motel-dwelling mom, who's already become infamous for her controversial lifestyle, is now facing serious scrutiny. Allegedly, CPS has conducted multiple welfare checks on her family in a single week, signaling that things have escalated beyond typical drama. Instead of reflecting on the mounting concerns about her family, Stephanie has chosen to lash out at the public, blaming people for being obsessed with her family's life. In a video that has gone viral, she insists that she and her family are simply living their lives, claiming that the criticism is unwarranted. Her tone is defensive, brushing off any allegations that she may be neglecting her children or failing to create a stable environment. She even posted an update, tagging her family with hashtags like Family of 7, Hotel Life, and Powercar, while proudly displaying their current living situation stuck in a hotel.
I gotta know, what's that like, being so agitated with someone else that you don't even know, that you send a popo to their house 3 times in 1 week? How many times and how many people are gonna show up at our door and do said welfare check before y'all gonna catch a hint that these children are perfectly fine? Ain't nobody being traumatized, nobody being scarred for life. Absolutely not one of these kids would rather be anywhere but with me and Drew. Like, honestly, what has got y'all so heated? It ain't even your life and you so upset about it. You act like the inconveniences in my life are more inconvenient for you than they are for me. Make that make any sense? You sit there and make comment after comment, video after video, mocking our lives, mocking us as people, quite honestly. Meanwhile, we're just here living our freaking lives, minding our business. You really act like we're your last thought at night. Like you can't go to sleep until you make that comment. And then you feel like it's some kind of achievement that you've done that for the day. If you're following my channel for the latest updates on the Resilient Jenkins. I mean, usually when I want an update about a content creator, I go directly to their channel, but hey, you do you. So anyways, here's an update if you care. This little room is the perfect setup for us to sit and stay comfortable. Yes, I said comfortable, while we find permanent housing. We really are not about to just jump back into something that's not completely comfortable for our family. More on that later.
Stephanie's argument: despite the growing attention from CPS and the public, everything is fine because her children are still smiling and playing. She claims this is proof that they aren't traumatized, dismissing the notion that children might be hiding their true feelings. She fails to acknowledge that many kids cover up their emotions to protect their parents, and that these smiles might be nothing more than coping mechanisms. But for Stephanie, the presence of smiles and laughter is all she needs to declare the situation as normal. The focus, however, shifts when she tries to justify the family's current circumstances. According to Stephanie, they are actively on a mission to find more permanent housing that will be comfortable.
Room is the perfect setup for us to sit and stay comfortable. Yes, I said comfortable, while we find permanent housing. We really are not about to just jump back into something that's not completely comfortable for our family.
There's nothing comfortable about 7 people being in the same room. Like, are we living in the same reality? A newborn is annoying. A newborn wakes up every, 2 hours to eat? A newborn cries all the time? Toddlers cry all the time? How's that fair to your older kids? Like, what are you talking about? This little room is comfortable. What? She also says how CPS has shown up, or the police have shown up. Well, she says Popo. The Popo have shown up like 3 times this week or whatever to check on the kids. Obviously, Stephanie and Drew are meeting the criteria, the bare minimum, to keep their kids, right? Whatever. But you're making like 10 grand a month on TikTok. Easily. You're making, $3,600 in subscriptions, which is visible to everybody. I know how much you're making on this app. Stop spending $10,000 a month on yourself and your weird boyfriend and buy something for your kids.
But let's be real, the motel they're living in is hardly the picture of comfort. It's a cramped space with rotating neighbors, thin walls, and no privacy. The reality is that they are simply surviving, not thriving, and people are beginning to question the impact this lifestyle is having on our children. Instead of taking responsibility or recognizing that their living conditions might not be ideal, Stephanie continues to argue that they are doing just fine. But there's one glaring question that Stephanie refuses to address, and it's been hanging over the entire situation like an elephant in the room. Why doesn't she have a job?
So what is Stephanie Jenkins and Drew's plans? How long are they planning on staying in this hotel? And he's obviously not going to get a job. So if he's at home, why doesn't Stephanie get a job? Like, yeah, she's the mom, she does all the work, but like, if he's at home, if he's going to stay at home, at least she could get a job to pay for something. Like, that's the only way they're going to get out of it, because Drew is obviously not going to get a job. If he hasn't gotten one now, in their hardest situation ever, when is he ever going to get one? And yeah, he might have a health problem, but he could at least work at McDonald's taking people's orders. Like, that's not hard. If he can play all these games, like, you have to have, like, focus and stuff for all these games. He can say, oh, you like a number 1 in a Sprite? Okay, pull up to the next window. He can say that, and he can type in the numbers. Like, or she can go get a job, and he can be a stay-at-home king or whatever she wants to call him.
While she's been quick to respond to all the other criticisms and questions, this particular issue is something she continues to dodge. She doesn't explain why, despite the chaos, she hasn't tried to secure a stable job to provide her family with some financial security. Her silence on this subject speaks volumes, and it's becoming more and more apparent that this is the real problem at the heart of their situation. If Stephanie were to find a job, even something basic like a part-time retail gig or delivery work, she could be bringing in a steady income and potentially secure a more stable living arrangement for her kids. The fact that she's not even considering this option is a major red flag. Instead, she focuses on justifying her actions and defending her family's choices while continuing to rely on the unstable income from social media. The truth is, if she were willing to make a change and put in the effort, her family's situation could improve significantly. But instead, she doubles down on defending a lifestyle that is clearly not working for them. On top of all this, Stephanie has continued to praise her partner, Ju, as a good father despite the glaring issues with his own parenting. It's well known that Ju has completely turned his back on his first child, refusing to provide any financial support and even going as far as to disown the child when called out in court.
He was served by a sheriff for failure to pay child support. He was lying to his caseworker saying he was working this whole time, when in reality he wasn't, and he just wasn't paying child support and not working just because that's who he is.
Yet, Stephanie stands by him, handing out fatherhood accolades as if his behavior toward his other child didn't happen. This is not just internet gossip. It's a cold, hard reality that she seems to be ignoring. By continuing to defend Ju in such a way, Stephanie is overlooking the fact that he has failed as a father to his first child, and this isn't a small issue. Stephanie's refusal to take responsibility and her ongoing deflection of blame show that she's not ready to make the changes that could genuinely improve her family's situation. Her attempts to justify her life on social media might be keeping her followers engaged, but it's not solving the real problems at hand. The question remains, how much worse will things need to get before Stephanie acknowledges that it's time for change? Even if we try to consider the possibility that Ju was too young, scared, or immature in the past, what about now? What's stopping him from stepping up today? He claims to have changed, but real change requires owning up to past mistakes. A man who has truly changed would make the effort to reach out, to fix things, and at the very least, settle his financial obligations. But Ju hasn't done any of that. Meanwhile, Stephanie, rather than holding him accountable for his actions, turns a blind eye. She's still clinging to the hope that the man she wants him to be will eventually emerge, even though he's consistently proven otherwise. She's ignoring the patterns of avoidance, irresponsibility, and emotional neglect, but they're glaring. If Ju could walk away from one child, what makes Stephanie think he wouldn't do the same to her? If their relationship fell apart tomorrow, what's to stop him from packing up and vanishing again, leaving her and the kids with nothing but a few empty promises and some Instagram posts? The truth is, Stephanie's trust in him isn't grounded in reality, it's based on wishful thinking. But hope without the backing of concrete change is simply denial, and that denial is likely having a much bigger impact than she realizes, especially on the kids, who are learning firsthand what love, responsibility, and stability should look like. Stephanie continues to insist that her children aren't traumatized, but is she really paying attention to what's happening? These kids are living in a cramped motel room, bouncing from place to place, with no sense of permanence or security. It's not by choice, it's out of necessity. They don't know where they'll sleep next week, let alone in a few months, and that lack of stability takes a serious emotional toll. They've lost things that most children take for granted, basic comforts like a bedroom to themselves, a place to study, or even somewhere to hang their clothes. Stephanie herself admitted in one of her videos that the kids rejected her idea of homeschooling because they missed their friends. That wasn't just a passing comment, it was a cry for connection. It was the kids saying, "We feel isolated. We want to be with others our age." Imagine being a child who can't have sleepovers, birthday parties, or even a friend over to play. Now, imagine that your living situation is out there on the internet for everyone to scrutinize. The kids aren't immune to this. They hear the gossip, they know the reality, and motel life isn't exactly something they can hide. Stephanie might look at her kids and see them smiling, but what she's not seeing are the cracks they're hiding behind those smiles. They're trying to protect her from worrying, but in doing so, they're internalizing their pain. Kids love their parents and don't want to cause them any more stress, so they put on a brave face. But putting on a brave face doesn't mean everything's okay. It means they're just trying to cope. And there's a massive difference between resilience and true healing, and this is where things can get dangerous. The truth is, trauma doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers for years before it finds a way to be heard. Now, here's something that's honestly surprising. Stephanie is not struggling financially in the way she wants people to think. She's reportedly making at least $300,000 a month from her subscribers alone, not to mention any money from TikTok's creator fund, brand deals, sponsorships, and the gifts she gets during her live streams. Add it all up, and her income probably equals or exceeds that of someone with a steady full-time job. So this idea that she's scraping by is more of a performance than a reality. She's not being forced into this lifestyle, she's choosing it. She's opting to struggle because for her, that struggle equals content. Let's entertain the idea that her social media income isn't enough to cover their needs, though it probably is. Why not take the next step and find a regular job? Ju isn't bedridden, he's capable of doing chores, filming TikToks, and playing video games. If he truly had a health condition that kept him from working, that would be one thing. But Stephanie, who is young and perfectly able-bodied, could easily step in and contribute. She's clearly capable of managing multiple tasks and responsibilities. Why not work part-time while handling things at home? Many families with kids manage schedules where one parent works while the other takes care of things. This isn't an impossible situation. Stephanie and Ju could easily make it work.
Listen, I know you guys don't want to hear this, but the resilient Jenkins are not on meth, okay? I promise you. That man is not doing dope and playing his PS5 all night. You know what people who are strung out do? Because you guys are all like, oh, they're strung out, they're strung out. There are a lot of meth comments. Do you know what people who are on meth, he wouldn't have a headset because he would have spliced it to plug into something else. Like that. Or they'd be fucking rearranging their room every night 26 different ways, taking shit apart, sticking it to something else. People on meth have an obsession with super glue. Oh yeah, and they'd probably be posting about conspiracy theories, that's for sure. They're way too chill, like, no. People who are on meth, regardless of being in a room with their whole family, they somehow get distracted for 6 or 8 hours at a time and forget they even ever had kids. If they were on meth, they would be outside way more. Do I think they're maybe on something? Yes. Do I think they're on meth? No. Oh yeah, also, let's not forget the, like, skin picking, nail biting, like, fidgeting, all the stereotypical signs. Y'all, they don't have those. Have you guys ever seen someone on meth? I was raised by someone on meth. I could tell you horror stories all day long. I could tell you about... I could tell you way too much. Okay, but let's leave it at that.
The real question here is what's truly standing in their way. Is it pride, a desire for attention, or simply the hope that a viral moment, a brand deal, or a miracle sponsorship will somehow solve all their problems? Or perhaps they're deliberately leaning into the role of a struggling family, hoping that the public will feel sorry for them and be moved to help. The more this situation unfolds, the more it becomes clear that this might not be poverty due to circumstance. It might be poverty by design, a carefully curated chaos that keeps people watching, donating, and engaging. What seems like genuine hardship is increasingly looking like a performance of struggle, and it's becoming more difficult to ignore. Stephanie has talked about wanting stable, comfortable housing, but what does that really mean when there's no concrete plan to get there? Comfortable by whose standards? And how exactly do they plan to achieve that? Are they really counting on their unpredictable social media income to cover basic living expenses like rent, utilities, and food for the long term? Are they depending on the creator fund to sustain a family of 7? That's hardly realistic, more like wishful thinking. Or perhaps they're relying on government aid, housing assistance, or some miracle grant to fix their situation. But even government programs come with strict criteria like proving income, showing attempts to find work, or medical verification. So what are they actually banking on? Is it simply passive survival, waiting for the internet to save them? Maybe they're just hoping for a viral moment or some miracle to bring in the sympathy dollars they need. But let's face it, life doesn't work like that, especially when children are involved. Without a clear income plan, without jobs, and with no solid steps toward improving their situation, this isn't just unrealistic, it's dangerously naive. This isn't about manifesting success through hard work or effort. It's about avoiding responsibility, and the ones truly paying the price for their fantasy are the kids, who are being denied stability, safety, and the comfort of a true home. Let's move on to the seizure incident. Stephanie and Ju claimed that Ju suffered a severe seizure, one that delayed court proceedings and sparked an outpouring of sympathy online. But within days, Ju was back to playing video games, wearing the same headset that, according to Stephanie, was responsible for his supposed pain. If Ju's health was truly that serious, why would he be back to gaming so soon? Why aren't there any signs of taking proper health precautions like rest or changes in behavior? If his condition was really that fragile, why would he be doing something as demanding as gaming at all? The timeline doesn't add up. If the seizure was as serious as they said, why are there no visible signs of care or recovery? This makes it seem like the whole incident could have been exaggerated, perhaps to delay court matters and draw sympathy, or even to avoid taking responsibility. If they're willing to fake something as serious as a seizure, what else could they be lying about? It's getting harder to separate what's real and what's just part of the performance they're putting on for the audience. And that's the problem. The line between content and reality is increasingly blurred, making it difficult for anyone to trust their story. Now, consider the CPS visit. What if they never actually showed up? What if the whole claim of multiple visits is just a tactic to cover up their situation and make it seem like they're being investigated and cleared? It wouldn't be the first time Stephanie and Ju crafted a narrative that didn't fully line up with the truth. The timing of Stephanie's video addressing the so-called CPS visits feels suspiciously like she was waiting for the right moment to release it, as if it were prepared in advance to protect their image. Think about it, if viewers believe CPS has already investigated and cleared them, they're less likely to keep reporting or expressing concern. It's a clever psychological tactic to calm the public and deflect scrutiny. But what if CPS did visit multiple times? That's not a good thing, it's a red flag. If CPS is coming back repeatedly, it means they haven't closed the case and there's something they're still concerned about. They might not have had enough to act on yet, but they're keeping an eye on the situation. If another report comes in or something else goes wrong, the next visit could be much more serious, not just a wellness check. So either CPS didn't come at all and Stephanie is spinning a story to protect her image, or they did come and things are worse than she's letting on. Neither scenario is ideal, and either way, it raises major concerns. Stephanie isn't struggling, she's stuck in denial. She's choosing to believe in a narrative that paints Ju in a better light rather than confronting the reality of their situation. And in doing so, she risks losing the very people she claims to care about most, her kids. What happens next? Will Stephanie finally take responsibility and make the necessary changes for her children's sake? Or will this story continue to spiral out of control? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this ongoing saga behind their motel life.